One of our nurses said they see patients from drunk drivers every single day in the neuro ICU. It doesn't have to happen.
A man who was hit by an alleged drunk driver last Saturday is still fighting for his life in the hospital. Thanks so much for joining us here at 5. I'm John Adams. The driver now facing 6 charges, with a few of them being felonies, and apparently this isn't his first run-in with the law. Our Celine Stevens is here now after speaking with the injured man's family. Celine.
John, right, that man spent a week in the ICU, and his partner tells me he has a long road ahead of him. Now, the driver in this crash is facing charges related to DUII, reckless driving, and assault. But before this, we found he had quite a legal history, including being convicted of manslaughter in the 90s. Now, this victim's family is left to try and adjust to their new reality.
I feel like I was dissociating a little bit. It was, just total panic. It's been the hardest week of my life.
Ellie Rogers is the partner of Mitchell Carlson, the 27-year-old man hit by an alleged intoxicated driver at the intersection of Northeast Hasselow Street and Grand Avenue. Carlson was going home after an event at a local venue in the early morning hours of January 18th, but never arrived.
I saw a text on my phone that he had said heading home, and he wasn't there, so I tracked him, and it said he was at Legacy Emmanuel. I sprinted into the emergency department and just said who I was there for, and I asked if he was okay, and they said no.
Carlson suffered multiple fractures, but the worst was the brain damage. His mother got the call from the hospital and flew in with his father as soon as they could from Montana.
I had to give consent over the phone. It was horrible. First time we saw him was in the neurotrauma ICU. Of course, he was unconscious. He was on a ventilator. His head was shaved. He had drains coming out of his head.
Now, while he is conscious and has been moved to the trauma recovery and acute care unit of the hospital, Rogers says he's not the same.
He was trying to talk a lot, but it wasn't really the same Mitch. He has brain damage that was shown on his MRI, but they're impressed with his progress, and nobody can tell us for sure how much of him will come back.
That driver, 47-year-old Isaac Quinton Ellis. Court documents reveal Ellis was taken into custody and now is facing charges for reckless driving, DUII, assault, and more. He's since been released. Court documents also reveal that back in 1996, Ellis was convicted of first-degree manslaughter and third-degree assault. Now, Carlson's mom and partner are left to wonder what the future holds.
This kid had everything to live for. He just started grad school. He had a bright future going forward, and we don't know what it's going to be now.
The family is now raising money for Carlson's medical treatment through a GoFundMe. It's currently not clear why Ellis was released as he awaits his arraignment, which is scheduled for February 11th. Back to you.
All right, our Celine Stevens tonight. Such a tragic story. Thank you, Celine. All right, turning now to weather and taking a look outside as the sun sets in the Portland area. We saw a continuation of the weather pattern that's been around for about 2 weeks now. Chilly morning with sun and clear this afternoon. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is joining us now. And Joe, you're tracking some potential changes for this coming week.
I can finally talk about rain moving into the forecast, something I haven't talked about in 14 days, and that shows just how dry things have been. And again, the next couple of mornings, we're still going to be waking up to widespread frost and freezing temperatures. This is what our numbers were like earlier this morning. 19 degrees in Kelso and Southwest Washington. East side of the state, single-digit numbers over in Prineville, John Day, and Baker City. Some places got very close to seeing negative digits. That's how cold that air is overhead, and that's what we're going to be continuing to see over the next couple of days. Now, temperatures currently are in the mid to the upper 40s. Along the Oregon coast, temperatures are a little bit warmer in the low 50s at this hour, but a beautiful end to your weekend right now in downtown Portland from our Wells Fargo camera. A temperature of 47 degrees with a light wind. Now, that cold weather advisory has expired throughout the metro area, but it will be in place again throughout the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley again tonight and into tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, we're going to be waking up to temperatures right around the upper 20s to low 30s. And because of that, the freezing temperatures and the widespread frost, we'll be looking at some very cold conditions. Of course, we have that weather impact because of the cold conditions, and that's going to be the case in the next couple of mornings. Late this week, John, the snow levels finally drop into the Oregon Cascades, and we'll be seeing return of some rain. I'll talk about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, we'll be looking ahead to that. Thank you. And as we continue to see below freezing temperatures overnight, Clark County, Washington, and Marion County are activating their emergency warming shelters tonight. The Clark County Council for the Homeless said the shelter at Living Hope Church in Vancouver will be open from 7 p.m. to 7 in the morning. The council's Severe Weather Alert Center may be extended through Wednesday, the 29th. And in Marion County, there are 5 warming shelters that will be activated tonight. Buses will provide free transportation to shelters in Salem. For shelter details and availability, call the number you see right there on the screen. Well, new at 5, local police and the FBI worked together to arrest a Clackamas County man for allegedly trying to lure a child online. Milwaukee police detectives convinced 53-year-old Marcus William that he was talking to a minor and arranged an in-person meetup. William made a plan with a decoy to engage in illegal acts. He was arrested at the agreed-upon location and booked on charges of luring a minor and online sex corruption of a child. Detectives believe there may be more victims. If you have any information on William, call 503-786-7488. In Lincoln City, police arrested a Beaverton man after he allegedly drove around a public beach while drunk. Witnesses say the driver, Artem Savenko, was speeding along the D River beach. He also spun around the beach and narrowly missed families who were there. While officers tried to stop him, an open bottle of vodka fell out of the car. Savenko eventually stopped, was arrested, and booked on DUII, reckless driving, and reckless endangering. Multnomah County is scrambling to add more emergency shelter beds after the announcement that a shelter set up in Old Town during COVID will close this spring. But a possible solution could be found at a facility already offering beds for people in need.
The needs for the beds have never been greater than they are today.
Alan Evans is the president and founder of Helping Hands Outreach Centers. The centers shelter around 600 people across 5 area counties. One is Bybee Lake's Hope Center in North Portland. The facility has the space to expand, but so far hasn't been able to obtain funding to do so. A tough reality for Evans to accept when he sees unsheltered people in Portland.
And I see this problem and I want to just pick people up and go, come on. But behind that, we have to be staffed to be able to do that correctly.
But 100 additional beds at Bybee Lakes may soon be funded. Evans is in discussions with Multnomah County to make that happen, with a shelter in Old Town set to close in March.
Well, it was a pandemic-era shelter. It was always designed to be temporary.
Dan Field, director of the Joint Office of Homeless Services, says the shelter located at Portland's former Greyhound station isn't a viable long-term option due to the condition of the building. That's why the Joint Office is now looking to Bybee Lakes for a possible expansion. The entities already have a partnership, with the Joint Office currently funding 175 beds there.
What we've been doing is sitting there going, okay, look, here's what the cost is. Here's how we can provide this service. And let's figure out ways that we can fund that so we can help these people because they need help right now.
Field acknowledges that a long-term solution to the area's homeless problem will only come with more permanent housing being built, but says shelter space must be in place as a stopgap.
And we don't have enough housing for people. So we need emergency shelter as an interim solution until we can build and retain enough housing for everybody.
A Lynn County man loses his home but is safe after an early morning fire on Saturday. Lebanon firefighters were called to a home in a rural area east of town off of Fritz Lane. There they found a home fully engulfed in flames and a nearby shop exposed. Due to the location, it took multiple teams about an hour to put out the flames. The homeowner and his dog escaped unhurt. The cause of the fire is under investigation. The Red Cross is helping 7 people after a triplex catches fire in Multnomah County. It happened just after midnight in Wood Village off of Northeast Halsey Street across from Fairview Woods Wetland Park. Gresham Fire Department responded and said the fire was caused by a heat lamp in a doghouse. The dog and everyone else were not hurt. And in Camas, firefighters were able to get a fire under control before it spread to multiple homes. They were called just after 4:30 this morning to a home under construction and fully engulfed in flames off of Northeast Livingston Mountain Road in the Cresswell Heights neighborhood. Multiple crews were called due to winds, vegetation surrounding the homes, and spot fires downwind from the building. The fire was contained within about 30 minutes. The cause is under investigation.